All right, let's dive into this. This scam help book you shared, it's pretty timely, I'd say. I mean, with all these scams going around, it's like everyone needs a little like scam 101 these days.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's everywhere, right? And
Yes.
what I like about this book, it's not just a list of scams. It really like tries to explain why we fall for them, why even smart people get tricked.
Yeah, it's that psychology part, right?
Right. It's like you think, "Oh, I would never fall for that." But then you read these stories and it's like, "Wait a minute."
Exactly. And the book, it breaks it down like really clearly, I think. Like the psychology of it. Like the first thing it talks about is authority, right?
Yeah,
We're just wired to trust people in like official positions.
exactly. Like think about those IRS scams. I mean, nobody wants to mess with the IRS.
It's terrifying. You get that call, they're like, "You owe back taxes?" I mean, I just panic.
That's exactly it. That's what they want. Like your rational brain just shuts down. You're just scared. And it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the IRS. It could be anyone pretending to be like someone important, somebody you're supposed to trust.
Right. And then they use that fear to their advantage. Didn't they mention ransomware attacks too?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Like that countdown clock they use, it's like psychological torture.
It is like 24 hours until your files are gone.
And it totally works. It triggers that fight or flight thing in our brains, so you're not thinking straight and you're more likely to just like do what they say.
It's like they hijack your brain. So we're not even like making a real decision, are we?
Not really, no.
Uh-huh.
And, speaking of not thinking straight, the book also talks about this thing called like the reciprocity
Oh
principle.
yeah, I was going to ask about that, like the free gift thing with the small shipping fee.
Yes, exactly that. It's like we feel like we owe them something, even though it was a fake gift in the first place.
We're just like wired that way, I guess.
Right. Like, oh, they did something nice for me, so I do something for them. But that little thing, like that little agreement, it can lead to like bigger requests later on.
So it's not just about being like gullible, it's like deeper than that.
Right, exactly. There are like these deeply ingrained things in our
Huh.
brains, and these scammers, they know how to like push those buttons.
Like exploit them.
Exactly. They exploit them. And the book also talks about how they play on our emotions, like love, like romance scams.
Oh yeah, those are heartbreaking.
They are. They build these whole like elaborate personas online,
Yeah.
tugging at your heartstrings, and then bam, some sob story. They need money.
It's like that show Catfish.
Yes, this is exactly like that.
I remember this one episode. This lady, she sent thousands of dollars to this guy, and she'd never even met him in person.
And that's the thing. When we're like emotionally invested, it's harder to see the warning signs.
Mm.
It's like they just disappear.
So it's all connected, really. Like we trust authority, we get scared, and then our emotions just like take over.
Right. And the book also talks about this other big one, FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Oh yeah.
Like think about all those limited time offers online, those flash sales.
Right.
They're all using FOMO.
Right. Like if you don't act now.
Exactly.
Right.
And it creates that sense of, oh my God, got to get it now before it's gone.
It's so effective though. I mean, I've fallen for that like so many times.
It is.
Yeah.
They know exactly how to make us like impulsive because if we actually stopped and like thought about it, we'd probably realize it's a scam.
I never thought about it that way. It's like we're playing right into their hands.
In a way, yeah. And that's why it's so important to like be aware of these tactics, like to recognize them.
Right. Forewarned is forearmed or something like that.
Exactly. So we've talked about why people fall for scams, but the book also talks about, who they target.
Right. Not everyone is equally susceptible.
Exactly. Like anyone can be a victim, but some groups are like more vulnerable than others because of, their life circumstances or their like tech skills.
The book mentioned the elderly being like a prime target, right?
Absolutely.
Mm.
And, it makes sense, right? They might be like more trusting, less tech savvy,
Mhm.
and sometimes they're more isolated.
Yeah, it's just sad. And those grandparent scams, those are just awful.
Those are the worst. Like imagine someone pretending to be your grandchild, in trouble. They need money wired like right away.
It preys on the best parts of being a grandparent, like their love, their willingness to help.
Exactly. And the book talks about how these scams, they're not just like one call and done. It can be like multi-stage. They build a like relationship. So when they do ask for the money, it seems believable.
It's scary how well thought out it is, like almost professional.
It is. And it's not just the elderly, you know. The book also talks about people who are like struggling financially.
Right, because if you're desperate for a solution,
You'll believe anything.
yeah,
Like those loan scams, those get-rich-quick schemes, they prey on that hope, that desire for, you know, a quick fix.
I can see how that would be like really easy to fall for if you're in that position.
Right. And it's not just individuals either. The book also talks about small businesses as targets, like with business email compromise scams.
Oh yeah, those are
Uh,
the ones where they like pretend to be the CEO, right? Or like a supplier.
exactly. And they get people to like transfer funds, and they can be really sophisticated, you know? They use these social engineering techniques to gather information about the company, the employees.
So it's not just about clicking on like a suspicious link anymore. It's more like targeted, right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it just highlights how these scammers are constantly evolving, you know?
Mm.
But even though they change their methods, the basic principles stay the same.
Right. So we've got these vulnerabilities in our brains, and then we've got these groups that are especially susceptible to scams. It's like it's kind of overwhelming.
Well, the thing to remember is that knowledge is power. Like,
Yeah.
the more we understand about scams, the better we are at spotting them.
Right. So reading this book is like the first step.
Exactly. And, you know, speaking of real-life examples, this book has some case studies.
Yeah.
And I think hearing about real people who've gone through this.
Yeah. It makes it more real, right? Like you can really learn from those mistakes.
Definitely. And they're pretty powerful stories.
Okay. Well, let's get into those next.
Okay, so you ready for some real-life scam stories? Like, what actually happened to people?
Yeah, let's hear them. I think it'll be like way more impactful than just talking about it, you know?
Right. Okay, so this first one, it's about this family in Georgia. They were saving up for a down payment on a house, and they found this, like, perfect rental online.
Oh, a rental scam. Those are like so common now.
Yeah, so they, like, contact the landlord. They even do a virtual tour, and everything seems legit, you know?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The landlord says he's out of the country, and he wants the first and last month's rent up front through a wire transfer.
Oh no. Red flag. Like huge red flag. Didn't they like question that?
Well, they were just like so excited about the place, and you know the rental market's crazy competitive, so they kind of overlooked it
Yeah.
and they wired the money. And surprise, surprise, the landlord disappears.
Ugh, that's awful. I can't imagine like the stress,
Yeah.
losing all that money and then having to like start over.
Yeah, it's a good reminder, right, that even when you're trying to be careful, scammers can still like find a way. The book talks about that a lot, like the emotional impact of these scams. It's not just about the money.
Right. It's the violation of trust, the feeling of being like so stupid.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's always good to like slow down, verify everything, and if something feels off, trust your gut. Okay, ready for the next one? Okay, this one's about this guy. He gets a call from his bank, or so he thinks. And the caller says, there's been, like, suspicious activity on his account, and they need to, like, confirm some information.
Oh man. That's like my worst nightmare. I feel like I would just like freeze up.
That's exactly what the scammers are hoping for. They want you to panic,
Yeah.
so you don't think straight.
Yeah. So what happened?
The guy, he was so flustered, he just, like, blurted out his account number, his password.
You gave them everything, just like that.
Yep. It's amazing how, like, our brains just shut down in those situations.
So what's the takeaway here? Like, what should you do if that happens?
The book says just hang up and then call your bank directly, like using the number on your card. Don't use the number they gave you.
Right. Don't engage with them at all.
Exactly. Okay, last one for this section. This one's about social media. This lady, she gets a message on Facebook from a friend congratulating her on winning the lottery.
Wait, a lottery she didn't even enter.
Nope. But the message seems real, right? And it has this link to claim the prize.
Oh no, I bet she clicked it.
She did. She was so excited she didn't even think about it. And of course, the link, it takes her to this like fake website and they get all her information.
So she just assumed it was really her friend.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Scammers use that. Like our trust in our friends and family. We're way more likely to like let our guard down.
So it's not even enough to just be like wary of strangers.
Right. It's everyone. So verify, verify, verify. Like if something seems off, even from a friend, just double check with them directly.
Okay, so those were some pretty sobering stories. I mean, it really shows how easy it is to fall for these things.
Yeah. But the good news is the book also has a bunch of photos of like actual scam attempts, like emails, texts, pop-ups. And I think it's helpful to like see them,
Yeah.
to recognize the patterns.
Yeah. Like a scammer's greatest hits.
Exactly. So you want to see them.
Let's do it. All right, so we've seen those fake virus things, the delivery ones, even those job offers. What else do they try?
Well, here's another one. It's a text. Looks like it's from the USPS. Says there's a problem with a package. Got to reschedule delivery.
Oh, yeah, I get those all the time.
But look at the link. It doesn't really look like the real USPS website, does it?
And the grammar in the text is terrible. Like tons of typos. You'd think the post office would be better at that, right?
You'd think. But that's a giveaway a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like the scammers, they don't always pay attention to the details.
So it's like those Nigerian prince emails. If it sounds too good to be true.
It probably is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they're getting better at, at making things look real. So you got to really check everything. Go to the source directly. Don't just click on random links.
Okay, makes sense. What about this one? This email. It says, it's from Netflix, saying my payment failed, got to update my info, or my account gets shut off.
Yeah, that's a common one. Phishing, they call it. Trying to get you to log in on their fake website.
But it looks so real. Like, how can you even tell?
Look at the sender's email. Really look at it. Does it actually end in, Netflix.com?
Mm-hmm.
And how does it address you?
It says, Dear customer.
Exactly. Netflix would know your name.
Hmm.
And the tone is all wrong, too, right? Like super aggressive.
Permanently suspended, yeah. A bit dramatic for Netflix, don't you think?
They're trying to scare you, so you
Uh-huh.
click without thinking. But any real company, they'll have instructions on their website. You don't need to go through some random email link.
So many tricks. It's hard to keep up. We've seen the tech stuff, the money stuff. What else do they go after?
Well, they love to play on our dreams, right? Like winning
Yeah.
the lottery, or like this one.
Yeah.
It's an inheritance scam.
Oh, come on. Like a long-lost relative leaving you millions.
But they make it sound so believable, and if you're already, struggling, it's tempting.
I guess so. Speaking of which, what about this? It says, I won the Powerball. Millions of dollars.
Did you buy a ticket for this one?
Nope. Definitely a fake. But the logo looks real, and the email, it's actually well written.
They are getting better at that, yeah. But look for those little things. Real lotteries, they don't ask for your info or make you pay to claim the prize.
So we've seen a lot here. I mean, it's kind of scary how sophisticated these scams are. It's like anyone could fall for this stuff.
Yeah, but we're not helpless,
Mm.
right? The more we know about it, the better we can protect ourselves.
That's what the book's all about, right? Like, knowledge is power.
Exactly. Verify everything. Don't take things at face value. Check those emails, the phone numbers, all of it. A few minutes of checking can save you a lot of trouble.
And what about when you're feeling rushed? Like, you're not thinking straight.
That's why it's good to have a plan. Like know your bank security stuff, know the common scams, and have strong passwords. And if something seems off, just pause. Trust your gut.
It's like having a mental checklist. Too many red flags. Nope, not doing it.
Exactly. And you're not alone either. There are like organizations that help people who've been scammed. They can help you, and they educate people about all this.
Well, this has been a wild ride. Eye-opening, for sure. I'm definitely going to be more careful now.
That's the goal. Just remember, awareness is everything. The more we know and the more we talk about it, the safer we'll all be.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into scams. Stay safe out there, everyone.